Hey folks, Lemonade here, and today I'm looking at a bunch of stuff that Pulsar sent my way. And instead of doing an individual video for all these, I'm just going to wrap it up all into one. If you wanted to know about their new skates, bungee, arm sleeves, and more, well, we're going to get into all that right after this. Small disclaimer, Pulsar did send me all of this free for review, but that never will change the outcome of any review on this channel. My opinions are my own, and you are seeing this as early as they are. So let's start off with the new Micro Bungee ES. This is a small bungee solution that attaches to your monitor instead of a traditional large bungee station that sits on your desk, like the famous Zowie Commod. The advantage here is obviously it's incredibly small, doesn't take up any desk space, and it's super affordable at only $7. Now, this is a kind of a strange move from Pulsar to update this bungee from the original version, as it's, 2023 and wireless mice are all the rage, but you still need to charge those mice, and having a cheap option to do that while keeping it nice to game with is a plus. On top of that, we're seeing some strong wired-only mice coming out recently, with the likes of the Haste 2 8K, Razer DeathAdder V3 8K, and the upcoming LethalGamingGear OP1. And funny story, I'm actually so hyped for the OP1 that I bought the original Pulsar Micro Bungee literally like 4 days before they announced this new one. So I might be the most qualified to talk about the differences. Now, excuse the following shots here. I'm stepping out of my normal comfort zone and angle on my setup. I have a pretty tight setup here with a camera, so I'm just going to have to make do with what I have. But these bungees are designed to go underneath your monitor, but in my particular setup, I keep my main monitor over there pretty close to my face, so that doesn't really work. That's why I have them up here on my secondary monitor, which is in a vertical setup, so it's actually on the side, on the left side of it. And this actually works really well. The only thing I'd say is if you keep your second monitor on the left side of your desk and you're a righty, then this may not work for you. I mean, of course, you can play around with the bungees, maybe put them on the other side of the monitor. I don't know, but it's just something to note if it's on the opposite end. Now, here we have on top the new one and on the bottom the original version. The original is a stationary solution with this kind of just flexible rubber tube. Doesn't move. It just has a little bit of flex. And while it definitely gets the job done, it does provide some tension on the outer edges of my swipes. So Pulsar took an ingenious approach and slapped a 360-degree ball bearing system into it. And at first I thought this might not benefit me for my vertical setup, but it's actually a lot nicer. By having this rotation, it kind of keeps the tensioning at the edge of the tube to pretty much nothing, so you get very minimal pullback as you swipe. And the rest is essentially the same. It has the same adhesive strips. You get an extra pair in the box. And the way you install the cable itself is the same. You just kind of plop it into the tube and then feed it through the main unit here. Overall, it's a simple solution, and now it's 100% the perfect bungee on the market. Easiest $7 recommendation of my life. Now let's briefly chat about the new Supergrip Tape. It's been out a few months, but I'm going to do a grip tape roundup video soon-ish, so I was just kind of waiting to talk about it there, but we might as well briefly cover it because they sent me another package of this stuff. Now, it has a lot of things I like about good grip tape, mouse-specific options, pre-cut dots like these, DIY sheets you can cut yourself. It's only $10. It absorbs sweat pretty well, and it's very thin at only 0.5 millimeters. Thick grip tape that's 1 millimeter or more is just gross to me. I hate adding thickness to my mice. Now, the hype around this tape is that it's made in Japan and it's super grippy. Like you can pick up a mouse with 2 fingers or whatever they were advertising. But yes, it's very grippy. One of the most grippy you will feel when you put it on. But if you give it a week or two, that kind of goes away. Unfortunately, it does fade and become a bit more normal feeling. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still grippier than like BTL grip tape, but I just want everyone to be aware that it's not going to retain that incredibly sticky feeling that you have fresh out of the box. Also, another small pet peeve of mine is it only comes in black. I'd like to have at least some color options to match my mice a little bit better. Next up, Superglide V2 glass skates. So some of you know I have an older video on my channel titled "Do Not Buy Glass Skates." Yeah, well, Pulsar knows about that too, which is funny because they still choose to send me stuff and work with the channel, which honestly just shows how well they take feedback. Much respect to them. Now, they wanted me to check out the new V2 version because they stated that they addressed some of the stuff that I mentioned in my video. The main gripes I had with these originals was that they changed quite a bit in feeling from out of the box. You know, they were hyper fast to slowing down and feeling really just muddy on most pads after about a month or two of use. Not only that, they are just sensitive to sweat and humidity buildup on your pad, and they really feel worse on a longer gaming session. They also eat away at cloth pads a bit easier than PTFE feet because, well, glass is a harder material than PTFE, so it will naturally do that if you're heavier handed. Now, I've had the new V2s for about a week, so I still need to obviously put more time into them, but initial impressions have been really solid. Florida is crazy humid this time of year, and these definitely feel more humidity resistant than the OG versions on my Orochi. They also feel incredible out of the box. They aren't, stupid fast where you can't control dragging a folder on Windows, but they still are so much faster than your standard PTFE feet. Now, versus the originals, the V2s have a matte feeling to them when you run your finger across it. So you will hear and feel a bit more feedback from your mouse pad because of that. Gives you a better sense of control in terms of using it, yet they still have that incredible low static and dynamic friction. I'm really telling you the difference is night and day on the V2s. The OG ones just feel like magnetic mud on most of my pads. These really feel like what Superglides should have been from the get-go. Now, in terms of them wearing into your cloth pads more, again, I'm not sure. It's probably something we're going to have to watch out for since it's still glass. That said, they have dot versions of these that would reduce surface area contact, so that might be a better option. Pulsar also doesn't recommend using these on glass mouse pads, just like the originals. And I'd assume the same goes for plastic pads. So if you're a hard pad enjoyer, these will obviously work, but there may be a risk of you damaging them or your pads. Overall though, in terms of usability, they improved what was needed. I'll test them more before my mouse skate roundup video in the future. All right, and lastly, probably the one product I was pumped about the most from Pulsar, their new arm sleeve lineup. Now, as of this recording, I don't have pricing yet, but I'll add it in if I get it before my final edits. Now, all of you probably know the famous sleeve on my channel here I use for my videos. It's from Amazon. It comes in a 2-pack for like 16 bucks. One size fits all kind of thing. It's worked really well, and the design options they have are pretty great. It only covers up to my wrist, so I had to actually cut this thumb hole myself to make it kind of cover up my lower palm area, because this is the area where I kind of sweat more and make more contact with the pad, so it made sense to have it covered. Now, I've used the Ghost Glides sleeve a lot as well, and while I really enjoy it, it's a more premium feeling product than my Amazon ones. This size I got, I think it's just a touch too big. As you can see, it kind of has a little bit of extra sag and give, and on glass pads, it's not really an issue, but in cloth pads, that does create a bit of an extra drag effect. Then comes Pulsar here announcing all of these, and my jaw just dropped. They took a relatively simple concept like an arm sleeve and sat down to the drawing board and saw how they could perfect these. Honestly, it's becoming a bit of a Pulsar trend to do everything better than they themselves did it in the past, or better than their competitors are doing now, and all at just breakneck speeds. Pulsar offers 2 size options of medium and large, and 7 different variations to choose from a finger glove to full coverage arm sleeves and everything in between. There really should be something for everyone here. Now, personally speaking, my favorite option is the palm long or palm short, as it covers all the areas of drag I'd have on a pad from skin contact. The pinky option, as you see here, it also just works, but personally I don't like having my pinky covered. Kind of feels a bit more tense and awkward in this area. I like having my pinky a bit free, but who knows, for others it might be a better option for stability. Now, in terms of quality, they're pretty solid. It's definitely my thinnest set yet. in terms of all the other sleeves that I have. Now, there are like tiny bits of fraying. I'll try to zoom in on the camera in a different shot here to show you, kind of near the edges of the sleeve itself. Now, I do have a slight concern for long-term durability. Again, though, that's something that I'm just going to have to report back on down the road. So far, over the week of testing, I haven't felt like they were going to rip, so we'll see. And as an added measure, Pulsar did reinforce the finger holes like around the thumb area, as you can see right there with that edge. Now, in terms of the cooling effect that they advertised, well, I mean, it's kind of there. It's really just that the fabric is kind of like a polyester, and so it's not really cold per se. You just have that kind of similar effect, honestly, like the other sleeves. And speaking on those in terms of performance, well, it's pretty similar. There is a slight bit more tug on my Phoenix sleeve, and the Pulsar ones are pretty even, honestly, with the Ghost Glides here. I think probably what's happening is Pulsar claims that they use 20% spandex in theirs. Ghost Glide uses about 25%, and my Amazon sleeve only uses 10%. So that's probably where that additional tug on some pads is coming from. That said, on glass pads, these all perform the same. But if you're one of the few like myself who uses their sleeve even on cloth pads, then that may be something to consider. One last thing that I wanted to cover, the medium is a pretty tight fit. I would say for most males, I'm not sure you're going to enjoy this. For females or maybe guys with really skinny arms and wrists, it should work. Now the large is what I wear and it feels pretty comfortable, but as you can see, I don't really have much muscle in my forearm or biceps. So if you go to the gym a lot, these are going to be a pretty tight fit, even if you get the large size. Luckily though, you can just opt in for the forearm only version or the glove option, and that's probably going to fix that issue for you. Overall though, for the level of customization and comfort that these offer, they are a definite go in my book. And on that note, all my socials are down below, along with affiliate links for the brands that I trust and use on a daily basis. You can use code Lemonade to save a few bucks on your gaming peripheral purchases, or code UpgradeLemonade to sign up with our partner Surfshark to get an extra 3 months free and up your security with the 4 different ways they protect you. If you had a good time with me today, likes and subs are always appreciated. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Pulsar's new stuff. But until the next Fresh Squeeze video, you know what it is. Stay thirsty, folks.